As a business owner, you are likely to have experienced more than once in your time as a business owner the feeling that business is hard, there's hard work that needs to be done, and also this sense that it's complicated, it's very complex. The number one feeling that people want to eliminate from their business when I ask this question is overwhelm. I want to eliminate this feeling of overwhelm. And that often comes from either complexity or feeling like things are hard. So when it comes to then making decisions about what to invest in, what strategies to adopt, what to implement in your business, it would make logical sense then that we need to learn how to buy strategic ease and buy through the lens of reducing complexity rather than adding to it. But for a lot of people, that is not what they end up actually buying or deciding upon. So in today's episode of the Heart Center Business Podcast, I'm going to answer the question, are you buying strategic ease or more complexity? And I want to equip you with the skills to be able to discern and look for ways to create ease and simplicity and accelerate your growth through those lenses rather than just making things more complex and harder. This is episode number 483, which means you can find all the relevant links and the show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/483. Let's dive in. Hello, I'm Tash Corbin, a business strategist and mentor based on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. The mission of this podcast is to help heart-centered entrepreneurs to make more money and in doing so, change the world for the better. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Gubbi Gubbi and Jinnaburra people. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. So most people's biggest problem when it comes to making decisions and being effective in their business is this matter of complexity. It's partly because we are creative ideators and the people drawn to entrepreneurship are often very good at problem solving, coming up with new ideas, coming up with new products, offers, strategies, and solutions. And so because we are naturally creators and ideators, we can therefore come up with lots and lots and lots of things that we could do and somehow convince ourselves that we have to do absolutely all of them. There's another contributing factor around mindset, particularly the program we may have around things needing to be hard in order to be worthwhile. So, even thinking about common terms like easy money. When you think about easy money, I know for myself, in my childhood, in early work situations, at school, the concept of easy money was seen as like morally wrong. It was seen as a bad thing. And I can see that I had this paradox that if I wanted to achieve, if I wanted to be successful, I needed to work hard. And if I got the result too easily, I must have done something wrong, or I must not have done it well. I must not have done it properly. And so removing that subconscious programming is for me probably going to be an ongoing thing that, at each new level of ease, at each new level of achievement, it will probably come up a little bit more, but that's okay. Now that I see it, I notice it so much more in my day-to-day life as a business owner. But I just wanted to touch on that one in particular because I think it's something that we can definitely grapple with a lot as online business owners, and particularly if you have, grown up in a society that talks a lot about hard work and diligence and, take the high road, take the hard road. We can do hard things. We've seen hard work as being of strong moral value so much in our upbringing that it's almost impossible not to take that on as a subconscious belief, if not a conscious belief. And then now that we live in this online digital age, information is also free and readily searched, which contributes to the problem even further because it creates a sense of complexity via the volume of options and advice that is available to us. Think about searching what are the 3 best ways to start an online business. You'll have 75 different opinions, and there'll be a lot of difference in those opinions about what the top 3 things are. And because of that, we can therefore bring all of that onto our shoulders as, well, we must need to do all of these things, rather than discerning which are the ones that are most applicable to my situation, which are the ones that I am most equipped to implement easily and quickly. Because of that, it's then unsurprising when something like AI, ChatGPT comes about, there's this sense that it's going to help to cut through that complexity for us. We don't need to be as discerning because we can give that ChatGPT the information that it needs to be able to do that discerning for us. And so it's no wonder that people are using it like a mentor. They're using it as an advisor because if you just go out and search, you're just going to find prolific advice, whereas with the right prompts, seemingly you can get AI to actually distill it far more effectively for you. And I won't go into a debate about whether that's helpful or not, but I understand why people are so driven to use it and want to ask for that kind of support and advice. And then we add to that the fact that we operate our businesses in an environment where marketers and business mentors and strategy experts make it seem that things are complex because that allows them to sell their simple and straightforward solutions, their secret formulas, as something that would solve that for you. And the more they can dial up your feelings that it's too complicated, it's too hard, and present their services or products as the solution to that challenge and that complexity, and being the simple and effective way, the more valuable that will seem to you, the more likely you are to purchase it. So you can see there that there's a lot of factors and there's a lot of different components that are contributing to this sense, either at a conscious or subconscious level, that business is hard, business is naturally complex, and therefore our experience of being a business owner is going to tip into that sense of it's quite overwhelming, isn't it, on a regular basis. And if that's happening over and over again, it's just reinforcing those beliefs. So my goal for you in listening to this podcast episode is to help you discern when you are purchasing something, whether it's actually going to contribute to strategic ease, like it says it's going to on the sales page, or is it actually going to just contribute to overwhelm and this sense of complexity. Now, of course, when you are learning about a new strategy, implementing a new strategy, there is a period of learning. There is a period of adjusting. So I'm not saying that every course should just make your life easier from the very outset, from the moment that you buy it. But I do want you to start thinking about the layering effect of the different strategies that you've picked up along the way as a business owner. And have you discerned which ones are mission critical, or does everything just become mission critical from there? So yes, there is going to be a period of adjustment and learning. And so things may feel a little more complex or a little more overwhelming when you're in learning mode and you're first implementing it and applying it to your business. But overall, when you buy in strategy, when you learn about new strategies, when you are doing courses about certain parts of your strategy as a business owner, the value of buying in that strategy should ultimately be acceleration of your results through simplification, rather than starting to stack on more and more different strategies to incrementally improve your results, but also incrementally add complexity, workload, and challenge to your job as a business owner. So think about the different strategies right now in your business that you see as necessary, that you see as core to your business success. The more time you give yourself to think it through and look at the types of things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, to look at your overdue task list and all the projects that you're wanting to be working on as a business owner, the more time I gave you to collect up all of those different products, different ideas, different marketing strategies, different content channels, different approaches and different projects, the bigger the list would become. And I don't say that to make you feel like you're doing a terrible job. I say that through the lens of all those pieces that I just put together at the start of this episode. Of course, it's easy for us to fall into that trap because we're creative ideators. We come up with lots of new things all the time. We have that. In order to be successful, I need to work hard programming. We're in an environment where information is freely and readily available. So if we want to learn how to do something like start a podcast, the information is there. And so we just add it to our strategy. And then marketers are saying that we need to, if you're not doing X, you're leaving money on the table. If you're not doing Y, then you're leaving easy money behind. And so it's no wonder we get ourselves in this situation of feeling it's too hard and it's too complicated. We get overwhelmed. Then when you do come across something that feels like it might help contribute to ease, it might accelerate results in a simple way, we can become far less enthusiastic about it. We can be far more jaded about it. But also it can just feel like we're in this machine where we're constantly being told we need to spend money for ease, but when we do spend money, it adds complexity, and it just creates this ongoing cycle. And, you know, if I was to come up with a visual analogy for that, for a lot of people, their strategy as a business owner is not a well-organized, well-structured strategy. It's more like a tangled mess of multiple different threads and fabrics and balls of wool all tied up together, all tangled up together. And it just is this big mess. And then that creates a feeling that, well, I have to do all of that to just sustain the results I've got, let alone try and grow my business. And so this is where a lot of people end up feeling like it's just too hard. I'm better off having a job. It's just too complicated. Maybe I'm not cut out for business ownership or entrepreneurship. And that's not true. The problem is not you. The problem is not business ownership. The problem is that your strategy isn't getting easier and more simplified with each engagement of strategic support and advice. It's getting more complicated and your to-do list is just getting longer. So, Tash, how do you ensure that the strategic input you are buying is actually contributing to accelerating your results with strategic ease rather than just adding more things to your to-do list? Well, step number 1 is to build your skills in identifying what the real issue or problem is that you need to solve. Marketers spend so much time and energy trying to convince you that your problem is exactly the thing that their course or program offers to solve. And it can be very easy to fall for that messaging if you're not strong and clear in yourself of exactly what you're working on. The amount of people who tell me they're really struggling with their messaging, who then are buying templates for sales pages and online content, is astronomical, and it's not solving the problem. If your problem is your core messaging is not strong and effective enough, then just buying throwaway templates that make you sound and look like everyone else isn't going to fix that. If you don't know how to position your offers to be a necessary purchase versus a nice to have, then buying a course on how to create low ticket offers is not going to fix that. So we need to get to the core foundations and fundamentals first and foremost and ensure they are validated before we then embark upon adding more and more complexity to your strategy as well. So learning how to discern and identify exactly where your core strategic need is a really important skill that we are building as business owners. But in the meantime, you can purchase that skill set. So it might be that the best thing for you to do when you are not sure where you need to be focusing your energy and attention is to work with someone one-on-one who can help you to build that skill set. If you aren't sure whether your core foundations of your business, your niche and message and offers are validated enough, engaging a mentor or coach who can help you ensure that you've got it nailed is going to have far bigger impact than just the engagement itself. It is going to create certainty, and certainty drives simplicity because you don't have fear that you've got it wrong. You're not constantly scanning the market to look for evidence that maybe there's a problem there. You're not worrying about whether it's sorted or not. You have confidence that that part's sorted, so you can move to the next stage of growth with confidence. Step number 1 is therefore either building your skills at identifying the core issue you need to solve, or hiring someone who can help you identify that and build your skills in doing it for yourself. Step number 2 is to recognize that there are different types of strategic input, and not every type is suitable for every problem. So for example, some strategic input is copy these steps. If you're someone who doesn't follow instructions very well, that's not likely to be a good strategic input for you. If you're someone who has a very unique business model or a very unique skill set, or a very unique approach to solving a problem, and following someone else's steps isn't necessarily going to do the complete job for you, then it's not going to make life more simple and easy. It's going to make it harder. You're going to need to do more work other than just following the steps. Whereas it might be that you need to instead access someone's expertise who knows how to tailor the strategy to your particular situation, or you need to work with someone who can help you decide on what's the priority and get it done and implement that strategy. Or it might be that all you need is ready-made access to an existing network and you can buy that. So thinking about what is the type of strategic input that is going to best solve this problem. If the problem that you have is you need to grow your audience and you've decided that the best way to do that is to launch a podcast, then copying the steps of someone who launched a podcast when they already had a mailing list of 25,000 people is not likely to net the result you're looking for. So even though the strategy at the surface looks the same, I'm starting a podcast, the reasons for it and the outcome that you want from doing it are very different. So you need to be able to identify the type of strategic input that is likely going to be the best fit for you and your business and contribute to simplicity rather than overwhelm and just adding a bunch of stuff to your to-do list. The third piece is identifying what will you stop doing when you have this new strategy. So for example, if you are struggling to grow your audience on Facebook and you've decided I'm going to grow it on Instagram instead, being explicit with yourself that you are no longer going to be using Facebook-driven strategies is critical. Otherwise, you're just going to do both. And then when someone pops a little ad into your newsfeed and says all the best conversations are happening on TikTok, and you decide to go and learn how to do really well on TikTok, and you add a third platform to your strategy, and then someone says, well, if you're making TikToks, you might as well put them on YouTube Shorts because YouTube Shorts are doing really well right now. If you're not understanding that every single new platform requires a new level of complexity, then you are going to find yourself in that situation where your to-do list is growing instead of getting more simple and straightforward. So being really clear on what will you stop doing is just as important as the new strategy that you're learning. And then number 4, and this one I think is a CEO skill set that takes practice to develop, and that is to consistently stop and review. Whether that be in quarterly planning or a monthly CEO date, being able to stop, review your overall strategy and all the components that go into it, and discern which ones need to keep going, which ones need to stop, and which ones need to be initiated is a skill set, and it's mission critical as far as I'm concerned. Building those skills doesn't just happen overnight, and it's not something that you can necessarily just access in a step-by-step course. It's something that takes practice because by design, we all have unique components to our business. We all have differences in the niche that we're working with, the marketing strategies we're using, the assets we have that are contributing to our results, our skills, our personality type, your human design, right? There's all these different layers that mean one measure of success doesn't apply to every single business owner. But building that for yourself so you can review it through the lens of what's important to me, what is a priority, what am I looking for, what is my vision of where this business will be going. I think that's so powerful to be able to learn that and to build your skills in that area. So these are my 4 steps to ensuring that when you get strategic input from a provider, it's actually contributing to ease rather than complexity. Number 1, being good at discerning what is the real issue, what is the problem you need to solve, and if you're not clear, accessing strategic input to help you get clear on what that is. Number 2, discerning the right type of input for your business, your needs, and the situation at hand. Number 3, identifying what you're going to let go of and stop doing when you bring a new strategy in. And number 4, consistently taking the time and space to review your strategy overall and its components to ensure that you are consistently and diligently streamlining and generating more ease in your strategy rather than creating more complexity and adding to your to-do list. Now, I do also want to add a little 5th bonus piece of advice in here, and that is to really pay attention to your mindset. If all of this is going on through a lens of you feeling wobbly about your capabilities, unsure of yourself, not confident, not having belief in your ability to discern and implement and be strategic, then you're going to be far more susceptible to fear-based marketing, and you're far more likely to make everyone else the expert about your business rather than stepping into the role of being the expert of your business yourself. I mean, think about it. If you're scrolling Instagram and your mindset is, everyone's better at this than me, there must be something I'm missing, I'm just not cut out for this, and there's an ad there for something that is pitched in a way that says, this is what's been missing, this is something that everyone else is doing, if you're not doing it, you're leaving money on the table, you're far more likely to fall for that rather than being able to discern whether it's actually a gap in your strategy or not. That's one of the reasons why I am such a loud advocate for working with mindset practitioners when you are in a growth phase of your business, whether it's in the early startup stages, whether you are moving into a leveraged model, whether you are learning a new skill set, you're embarking upon a new strategic way of growing your business. The number one thing that will derail the strategy is you second guessing yourself, is you having a mindset that you need someone else to tell you exactly what to do because you're not good at it or you're not a good business owner. When I run my planning program, when I run the takeoff program in the accelerator, I am consistently reminding people that they are not broken, that there's nothing wrong with them, that this is a skill that they're developing, that this is a process that they're learning, because it can be really eroding to your self-esteem to navigate this journey. And there are a lot of people who capitalize on that and feed in to that because they know it keeps you trapped as a paying customer. They know it keeps you in the buying cycle, and that's what they want. They want you to stay in the buying cycle. If instead, throughout that process, you're also clearing any limiting beliefs, you're building a very resilient mindset, you're building confidence in yourself and your skills, then that's actually equipping you far more effectively to step into this role of being the business owner, of being the CEO, and not feeling like you're constantly needing someone else's input and advice. You're getting to the point where more and more you're in the driver's seat. My final piece of advice for this episode of the Heart Center Business Podcast is that if you are already feeling like you are overwhelmed and your business feels really complex, the last thing I want you to do is go and buy another strategy. The last thing I want you to do is add to your workload. Instead, take the time to review. What are the components of your strategy, from audience growth to developing relationships to generating leads to making sales and then delivering? What are your offers? What are your marketing strategies? What's your client attraction process? Take the time to map it all out, big paper on the ground time, or doing a mind map on one of those amazing online tools. Take the time to map it all out and really assess what is contributing most to your results versus what is contributing least to your results, and give yourself the gift of simplifying. If you don't know how to do that, or it just looks like a hot mess to you, don't just assume that the only way to solve it is to engage someone one-on-one to go through it all for you or with you. Yes, a half day of having a strategist review everything and help you to discern what is critical, what needs to be incorporated into your business as usual, what projects are going to be the most likely to net you fast tracking your results and accelerating the growth of your business. Yes, that's going to be really valuable. That can often cost thousands of dollars and isn't the only way. And I just wanted to say that because I think sometimes it can feel like the only way to get the growth and the sales that you're looking for is to spend a lot of money to have someone work with you one-on-one. But if you don't have the money to get that support, then how do you get to that point, right? You end up in a little bit of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, I need money to hire the coach, but I need the coach to help me make the money so that I can hire the coach to help me make money. And you just kind of end up in this spiral. And that can often then reinforce this belief, I have to do it on my own. I have to do it on my own. I have to do it on my own. And that's not helpful either. So I just wanted to reassure you that it doesn't always have to be borrowing that skill set from someone else, right? Accessing someone's expertise or working with someone one-on-one. An example of this is actually my Heart Centre Business Planner. So the way that the Heart Centre Business Planner that I sell every year is structured, it walks you through a strategic review of your previous year's results, your current state of your business, the assets that you have in place, your current client attraction process, before setting the agenda and mapping out your plan for the year ahead. Now, so that's a tool that is actually helping you to discern and review in a more strategic way by mapping out that process for you. But I would also say that for a lot of people, the tool on its own isn't necessarily strategic or comprehensive enough. And that's why the first time I ever sold the Heart Centre Business Planner in 2014, I really struggled with just selling the planner as a book on its own, because I wanted to ensure that everyone knew how to use it and felt confident in the decisions that they made while going through that process. And I also know that this is a skill that you're developing. So these days when I sell the planner, I actually sell it as a year-long program, and it includes a yearly planning workshop. We do quarterly planning together, and in some of those workshops, I'm walking you through that review process, so you've got the ability to do it for yourself at the time and ask questions as you go, and also just get that reassurance that what you're seeing is what I'm observing as well. So you get to borrow my insights and work with me in that group setting. Not necessarily, we don't need to do a full whole day together one-on-one. Of course, if you want to do that, absolutely keen for it. I love doing those things. But I just wanted to also sort of walk you through that process inside the planning system, because I think it demonstrates a different approach or a different way of building those skills and not necessarily having to fork out thousands of dollars each time. So in the show notes of today's episode, I will make sure I put a little link to the planning system. If doors are open at the moment, it will just go straight to showing you what the planning system looks like. If it's not open for sale, it will just pop you onto the waitlist. So go and check that out. But also I'll pop a link to an inquiry form in the show notes of today's episode at tashcorbin.com/483. Now, if you do want to engage my services one-on-one, that's the form to fill in, and we can discuss whether that's the right fit for you and what I'd recommend. But I also want to explicitly say that that form is not just for you to inquire about how to work with me or what to buy from me. That form is for you to ask questions. That form is for you to let me know what is going on for you. Where are you facing that sense of complexity or overwhelm? What do you think is contributing to that overwhelm for you? And you can ask for my input, my advice. Now, of course, providing free business coaching and mentoring over email is not something that I offer, but if I've got a podcast that I think would absolutely help with that, I can let you know. If I've got a free resource that I think will support you with sorting that out, I can let you know. And if there is a simple and straightforward answer, or I can give you a couple of journaling questions, I will do that because I really do value and appreciate the opportunity for us to chat to each other. I really love receiving your emails and inquiries. I love this stuff. And so sometimes there's a simple and straightforward solution. I'm not going to make you pay for that. I'm just going to tell you what it is. Or if there's a piece of advice that I can give, I'll give it. And if it is something where I think, you know what, this would be exactly what you would get out of joining the planners for the next year, I'll let you know. Or if I can see that it is something that might require some one-to-one review and mentorship, I can let you know, even if you choose not to work with me. But if I can see, you know what, this is something that really is going to need some one-to-one mentorship, some one-to-one review, I can let you know that as well. So make sure that you come to the show notes, tashcorbin.com/483, fill in the inquiry form, check out the planning system if it is a good fit for you. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Big love from me, and bye for now. I'm going to be honest. I really want to get my hands on your business, and not in the way that that might sound. but I do want to help. Not in a detached, listen to my podcast and hopefully you'll get some golden nuggets out of it way. I want us to work together. I want to be involved. And there are some of my programs and packages that allow us to work in that way together to really align your strategy, your actions, and your goals. So if you know that now is the time to get stuck into your business strategy, to get mentorship, support, and hand-holding, as well as practical advice and feedback, I would love for us to explore how we might be able to do that together. Whether it's joining my takeoff program to get you to the point where you are attracting leads and making sales more consistently, whether it's through the accelerator to help you really narrow in on where your leverage points are to scale your business beyond 6 figures and further, or whether it's that high touch, high connection, one-on-one experience of working together as a VIP. I invite you to send an email to me at support@tashcorbin.com. Tell me what your goals are, tell me what you need help with, and let's look at how we might be able to work together. I would love to provide the mentorship, guidance, feedback, and advice that you need to know exactly where you need to focus right now to get it implemented and done and to get your business taking off and scaling. There's no obligation and there's no hard selling. I genuinely just want to make sure that I'm across what's going on for you and that you know what the options are for us to potentially be working together. And of course, if I have free resources that might be able to support you, I will point you in the direction of those as well. So get in touch, send that email to support@tashcorbin.com, and I really look forward to hearing from you.